Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock your January reset with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a chance to win a VIP concert prize pack. Text RESET to 73876 to enter. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads Radio. Sackheads Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
It happens to be the 27th of January, 2016. It's 11 on the East Coast, 8 p.m. on the West Coast. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you've stepped in for the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have more to talk about than we have time for.
Well, that's confidence inspiring.
Well, I'm just saying, in typical Sackheads way, don't be shocked if we
absolutely have 2 hours of absolutely no content whatsoever, and we just swap stories.
Something like that. You're close.
Right.
Sitting on the west side of the room, Sackhead Clint. Sitting all the way on the east to make room for his nose. I am Sackhead Sean.
No. Hang on.
What?
We're like the yin and yang. My nose overlaps your belly, and that's kind of how we fit.
It's like a bad cartoon.
Right.
It is like a bad cartoon. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Spreaker and all over the world. If you want to jump into the chat room, shrmedia.com. Big blue button in the middle says live chat. You want to click on that and you'll be right in.
Or you can do what I do. Call Sean, and he can get you up and running. And he'll point out the keyboard to you and say, type on this and hit this button here.
What? A couple of quick announcements. I want to formally nominate a friend of ours. And in the past we had a news director. In the past we had a news director, and we didn't want to. We had to retire the news director.
We did?
Logo, yeah.
I didn't know this. Did I know this?
No. You weren't in that meeting. Actually, you were in that meeting, but you were too busy trying to figure out the chat room. Where were you?
Did I abstain? Yeah. For once?
You did. Either way, due to circumstances beyond our control, we had to retire and or burn and display the ashes at sea.
An effigy.
An effigy. But I would like to formally nominate Dan Butcher for the following title: Supreme Allied Commander of News Forces at SHR Media.
Now, here's the thing about Supreme Allied Commander.
Of News Forces.
Of News Forces.
Yes.
So then how's about just Supreme Commander of News Forces? Because the Supreme Allied Commander title, that's been claimed.
Yeah, but you have to look at it from what I'm going. I'm talking News Forces as far as written news, video news, audio news. So that would be his caveat.
Telekinetic news.
Telekinetic news. Yeah, I think that would work. So that's when I say allied, I mean the different
coming together
vessels coming together as one.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it. I will second that notion. All we need is a third vote from Sacco.
He's not here.
Therefore, per our bylaws,
it passes.
It passes.
All right. So per the Sackheads bylaws, it is a rule. Of course, the first question is a good question. Does he get a uniform allowance? I have actually picked out the uniform already.
Yeah, you have, and this you actually brought it up in front of the uniform committee.
Yep, and we agreed.
We agreed. Yep. Yeah, with a couple minor modifications.
Well, I know the chaps went too far.
I didn't think they went far enough, and we had this discussion.
I was thinking...
There's a bunch of scrambled eggs on the bill of the hat.
Oh, like 1,000.
Right.
We actually have to order an extra large bill for that hat.
Right.
And it has to be like the brightest white you've ever seen.
And what we did, just so everybody's familiar with how this process works on the uniform committee, we actually went into the uniform shop.
Right.
And we tried several hats on my head.
Yes.
And Sean said, listen, so the bill has to cover his nose.
Right.
So I think they're custom making it.
Right.
Because they had to measure it out.
3-week lead time. That's a big deal.
Just for the measuring.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just for the measuring.
And then I'm also thinking like mid-50s Mexican Navy meets like think third world country military where like a private has more medals on them.
Right.
Like there's one for tying your shoe.
Right. There's one for urinating without making any on the seat.
Right. Things like that.
And we actually have that medal here at SHR.
I've won it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, no, this is not true.
We actually give that out weekly.
We do. And with Sacco, we would literally have to go in there, and we wouldn't even have to like measure anything. We'd be like, dude, you obviously hit some hair on the way out because it sprayed everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were able to finally get that squared away. So we had an award for it. I have won it 3 weeks in a row, I'm proud to say. So those are just
because you started squatting.
Well, just whatever works, right? I mean, you have to adapt and overcome. That's how life is. And so I'd like
You're
to
like
welcome...
an Occupy person. You're like an Occutard. Freaking squatter.
I would just like to welcome Dan as the Supreme Allied Commander of News Forces at SHR Media. Speaking of Dan Butcher, I wanted to thank him real quick for all the hard work that he's been putting in on our website. Check it out, shrmedia.com. He completely overhauled it yet again. It looks amazing. And do us a favor. We're getting regular written content on there, which is something that we've been working for a while. We've been fortunate to get some great contributors. So to jump in, if you want to hear new shows, if you want to see their new written update, occasionally be a blog by me or Clint or somebody else. Obviously, Dan's stories are up there. Dr. Arrington, who's got his show on SHR Media now on Sundays, he posts for us all the time. So if you want to stay in the know, sign up for our email list, which is in the top right-hand corner, I believe. And that'd be a great way to go for you.
Yeah, so I have a confession to make. I desubscribed. I canceled my subscription. I bagged out.
Uh-huh.
No, I didn't. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, I don't believe you because to get you to sign into it,
right.
I actually had to do 3/4 of it.
Zaxby's just out Philly the Philly again. The Zaxby's Chicken Philly is back with garlic aioli, sautéed peppers and onions, decadent melty cheese, and your choice of Zaxby's signature crispy chicken fingers or delicious grilled chicken. But it's only back for a limited time, so enjoy it while you can. No pressure. It's just the greatest sandwich of all time on a ticking clock. Order the Chicken Philly today. Who's got the sauce? Zaxby's.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
So the fact that you could undo it would be amazing to me.
Listen, the fact that I got an email and then a phone call and a text message and you made a YouTube video showing me exactly what it is I needed to do.
At the end of the day, I had to have your 9-year-old just do it for you.
Right. Right. And I don't even have a 9-year-old. That's the funny part. It was, you had to rent one for me.
I did.
Come here, little...
I got really good.
I need
price.
you to.
I got a really good price this year on it. So just sign up. Don't be like Clint. Sign up. If you need help, you can contact Sacco at shrmedia.com. Now, I got to get to a little bit of sad story, and everyone already knows this.
Hey! We have another minute and 30 seconds in general jackassery. Now I know you're like the whole.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm writing a book.
I love the title, by the way.
It's called Take It From Me.
Yes.
Things not to do in your personal life.
Chapter 21's my favorite.
Right. This was an idea that Sean had, and I think it's brilliant.
It's like a Scared Straight program.
I think it's brilliant. Or if you're already straight, scared gay.
If you need that.
If you need that.
If you need it.
And by gay, I mean happy, because we took back the hate from that word.
And trust me, when you read this
several months
book,
ago.
you won't be happy.
You won't be happy.
You'll be seeing how much weight your shoelaces can hold.
You'll be crying
sad and
because
under the
it's
table.
hilarious. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You're going to make a lot of money off of it.
Because it's satire, and we're freaking hilarious.
Yes.
And you're going to be my co-author.
Now, I would be happy. I'd be honored if I could be your co-author. For you, it's the little things.
Right.
It's not the big things that are comedic. It's just the weird little things that happen, like just to you.
Like just to me.
Right. My favorite part is when, like last week, we didn't have a show.
Right.
And you catch me up on everything. And I'm not going to ruin the book.
Thanks.
Because there's
Thank
a lot
you.
in the book, and I don't want to ruin it. So,
and it's the details
everything that happens
that are hilarious.
And when you have an input on what happens, which you don't always, but sometimes you do.
Right.
You literally said to me, and I said, why did you do that? Or why did you do this? Or why do you do that? Or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And you said to me, well, we weren't here last week, and I didn't have it to bounce off of you. So this becomes my fault. Because I right, okay, I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it.
Listen, so for example, I bought 2 rabbits.
Yes.
I no longer have 2 rabbits. As a matter of fact, I now have 0 rabbits because I set them free.
My favorite part is when I was like, well, were they wild? And you said, well, no. But it's okay because I let them out downtown so they won't be in the wilderness. I saw where you were going with that logic, and it was hard to argue.
You can't argue that logic.
Oh, man.
Capitol Park's a big place.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. There's raccoons and squirrels.
I've seen cartoons. They all get along.
Politicians.
As soon as somebody starts singing a song, those animals come together and help each other out.
Have you not seen Snow White?
Duh.
No, I actually dumped him on Big Fat Polly's house. So
the good part is, and
I love the group text, right?
My favorite part is it was in his shower for 3 days on the loofah hook before he realized it wasn't a loofah.
Right. So should we tell everybody what we're actually doing for a trip that we're taking, the guys' trip?
No.
But they're not going to be there to see it. And anybody who has met us, for example, our fans, when they've met us at events we've done, they could see it and appreciate it.
Yes. However, I don't want to scare away anybody right now.
Okay.
I would rather tell the story after the fact when we're all alive as a result of being able to come through it. Whereas if we set it up now, and there's a good chance when we go somewhere together that we're all not coming back alive.
This is true.
Like, the odds are way better than they should be that one of us will.
And we know Big Fat Polly is going to die again because that's what he does when we go on trips.
So we will tell you after the trip when we've all hopefully survived. Or we're doing a fundraiser for one of our families. One way or the other. It'll be great.
Okay, you're up.
On to the sad news.
Sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah. And this is just, it's too bad.
I hope Mike can get us a good deal in it. Sure he will.
Sal, Tom, the boss says he'll come in a separate car. He says for you two to go on ahead.
Hell, he can't do that. It screws up all my arrangements.
Well, that's what he said.
I can't go either, Sal.
One of the best lines from the entire movie coming right up right here on The Godfather.
always liked him.
He understands that. Excuse me, Sal.
Can you get me off?
Tom, can you get me off the hook? I'm a little typeset.
Can't do it, Sally.
Yeah, unfortunately, they couldn't get him off the hook this time either. Abe Vigoda, great character actor, The Godfather. Fish and Barney Miller. Fish and Fish?
Fish and Fish.
And Fish. More recently...
Did he ever do anything with Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox?
So
Was there a Fish and Chips?
Yeah, that's... And more recently, a lot of appearances on the Conan O'Brien show where he played himself, which just some of the amazing skits. Abe Vigoda, dead at 94.
And I like how you play cheery music in the background for him, too. Like it's the Barney Miller theme. But it sounds so cheery.
It is
hey,
cheery.
He's dead.
Well,
94. Perfect.
If you ever followed his career, if you've ever followed his career, then you'll know that Abe Vigoda has an amazing sense of humor about himself.
Uh-huh.
And he probably would have a good sense of humor about his death. And it's definitely, I think it's up to us to share it.
What you're hearing is Hardie Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardie knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardie products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardie. Hardie Fiber Cement Siding is proven to withstand water, pests, and fire better than wood-based siding. And it looks better while doing it. Hardie Siding has been chosen for 10 million homes and counting. See the proof at jameshardie.com.
So, Abe Vigoda, it's a shame. You know, there's a lot of famous people have died recently. One of the founding members of the Eagles died recently. A lot of musicians are dying. I don't know what the hell's going on in Hollywood, but...
I see what you did there. Dying hell, Hollywood, all in the same... I caught on. Abe's better than that, and so are you. Don't say that in the same sentence.
I am not better than that.
Listen, you are better than that.
I am not better than that.
Don't bring this show down, Sean. We've had this conversation before.
Oh, man.
So, I want to talk about the jailbreak in California. So, in Orange County, California, 3 inmates broke out of jail. Violent inmates, very dangerous inmates. Jonathan Tiu. I don't care how to pronounce his name properly. Backdong is another one. Now that's
Whose
an
cousin I'm
unfortunate.
talking about later on.
That's an unfortunate name.
Okay.
Backdong.
No.
That's not an unfortunate name.
No, I think it's an awesome name.
Maybe if you're in prison like he was.
Right.
And I'm wondering if this is why he had to break out. Because if you're in prison and your name is Backdong, do you have to tattoo parking spaces on your back?
No, just ownership numbers.
Ownership numbers. Okay. And then Hassan Nayeri, not in jail anymore. Right. So they broke out. Apparently 5 arrests have been made. They were able to saw through some thick metal, went through some pipes, and were able to...
Well, Backdong did. We know that for sure.
Yeah, Backdong has gone through a lot of pipe.
Right.
In order to get out, or in, either way. Went through the metal grate, and then went onto the roof where they rappelled using bedsheet rope.
Right.
And they're at large ever since. And not in like some rural area, but in Orange County,
right,
California, in the neighborhoods.
Right, and not discovered for 16 hours? 14 hours?
Yeah, so the original count I think was at 5 a.m. And they weren't discovered until 16 hours later when the evening count happened. So the sheriff's department has said they're going to revise their count policies. So that's good.
Hey, better late than never.
Right, way to nail that. It's okay, so we're going to prevent that from the future. That's good. But 5 arrests, and they say they're focusing on the gangs.
Yep.
I'm just curious how Back Dong got jumped in. What?
Well, part of me makes you think that he had to jump out in this situation.
I don't know. And is that his stage name? Is that his gang name? Back Dong? I don't know.
The Donger?
The Dong. Was he the kid from 16 Candles?
Long Duck Dong.
Yeah. Is this him?
Happening, Huss?
Because he's what? He's 40-something now?
Right.
So it could be the same guy. This is an unconfirmed report, ladies and gentlemen, that you're getting here at SHR Media first. Is one of the escaped Orange County dirtbags Long Duck Dong, a.k.a. Back Dong, from 16 Candles?
Oh, man.
We need to send a news guy out to look into this.
No more Yankee Mike Cranky. The Donga is tired.
Have you seen that's getting boycotted now for being racist?
Oh, get out. Everything's...
No, I saw something like that. Give me a break.
Can everything...
Now, something to piss off our listeners, because that's what we like to do.
Right.
Now, the Donger was set to be deported in 1998. So he came to the United States legally, 1991, but in 1997, he served time in state prison for a burglary conviction.
Oh, good.
Now, at the time, burglary was a felony.
Non-violent.
Right. Hang on. At the time, burglary was a felony. In California now, it's not so much anymore, right? Yeah, it's just breaking into somebody's house.
It's more frowned upon.
Not a big deal. It's more of a suggestion. You shouldn't do this. So they tried to deport him. He was ordered deported in 98. But apparently he was still allowed to remain here in the United States because Vietnam didn't want Back Dong back.
They didn't want the Dong back?
They didn't want the Dong back. So here's my thing, and apparently this is an issue. People that are here illegally or that are set to be deported, countries apparently won't take them back, so they're here still. And I guess in 2012 there was Bin Tai Luck was charged with killing 5 people in San Francisco, but Vietnam failed to issue travel documents that were required to take him back. So Vietnam is a problem, obviously. Maybe we need to go back. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I digress.
Vietnam's friggin' brilliant.
I digress.
Why would we want him back?
True. But why the hell are we going to keep him? So I have an idea.
Please tell me it involves a parachute.
It does. I actually wrote it down right here on my notes.
Yes!
Solution. We strap parachutes on these frickin' dirtbags. And we fly them over whatever country won't take them back, and we kick them out. Now, we don't necessarily have to repack the chute. But if it works, perfect.
No, you let them do it.
Let them pack their own chute.
Right.
Either way, hang on.
Have the people from IKEA write the instructions.
I like it. So we kick them out over whatever country it is. Now, the friendliness of the country is directly related, almost like a mathematical equation, to the type of aircraft used. For example, if it's a friendly nation typically that's not going to shoot us down, a Cessna would suffice. However, if we need something fast and maneuverable, they might just have to go in like a drone F-18 and like a remote-controlled ejection seat over the country. That way, if they get shot down, but if not, they eject and they parachute safely, and the aircraft continues on and crashes somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's not in our country anyways.
This is a very good point. I like where you're going with this, and I am very, very proud of you for all of this. I really am.
Thank you.
Really am. I think it's a brilliant idea.
It is. It is a brilliant idea.
I just have one...
Yes, I have notes. I just saw that in the chat room.
Whoa, wait, why? What?
What
happened?
Are you doing?
How are we getting us on replay? That's amazing. We can't even help ourselves from talking.
So I don't know if you noticed this or not, but if you look under here on my notepad, I put go back in time. So I'm glad to see that our time machine works. Because for a moment there, we were actually able to meet ourselves. It was kind of bizarre. I was sitting like in my own lap.
I don't think the good people heard that, but we heard it.
Which I really liked.
I love the fact that people are slowly coming to the realization that you both are checked into chat at shrmedia.com, and you're actually looking at it. The best part about it is I had to set up an entirely second computer separate.
Yes.
And that way...
Because...
So you didn't have to go between
my
screens.
Research. Right.
Right.
Because I have all my notes and everything up on the screen, and I don't like switching back and forth between my notes screen and chat roll. I don't like that. So yes, I have two screens up. Now what I think is ironic is the blind guy accuses me of looking at the chat screen.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. I'm not going to take crap from looking at something from the blind guy.
It's like a deaf guy yelling at you for listening to bad music.
Right.
What they don't tell you, was it Dong who they're calling essentially like a Hannibal Lecter? Was he the one where he was being accused and he's not in prison yet? He's in county jail because he hasn't been convicted.
Well, he's been convinced.
He's convinced, all right, but he's not convicted. But one of them they're describing as a Hannibal Lecter type person.
Yeah, I don't know if there's audio to that, but when word of his escape came out, it was something like, "Oh my God, everybody's going to die." I think that's an unconfirmed report. We're trying to shore that up now.
Oh man, listen, there's a lot that's wrong with this, obviously, as far as the prison escape itself. Mm-hmm. But yet again, in California, we have an example of a human being who should not even be here.
And I have another suggestion, I have another suggestion.
Okay.
Don't know if it'll fly.
Okay.
They should fly with a parachute or not.
Catapult.
But here we go. Try them in absentia.
Yeah.
Convict them. Mm-hmm. Give them the death penalty.
Yep.
And then the judge authorizes every U.S. citizen to be able to carry out that death sentence.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Do you?
I think that'll work out very well.
Show me in the Constitution
where you can't do
that.
Absolutely not.
Right? Instead of like a warrant being in the system, it's an execution order.
Right. Imagine.
And you post it in every public square, in every public building, right?
I just picture that.
Wanted dead or alive.
Sir, hold on 1 second, please. And he's like thinking, crap, I'm going to go back to jail.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like, so let's play Wheel of Executioner.
Right.
It's like the Running Man, right? All of a sudden he's like paraded out. Who wants to win a chance to kill a murderer? me. You're going to have, come on down.
Because really then you're rolling the dice with who's going to get you.
We'll be looking for 3 separate contestants. The first one, if you are holding a Glock 22 with Hornady wadded rounds, 168 grain, come on down. You just set it all up.
So you can set it up, but also have a piece of paper, right? Sir, you have the constitutional right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. Now, we ask that you waive that right. Will you please sign this piece of paper?
Be a sport.
We'll give you $100,000. We're going to take it back in about 30 minutes, but...
Just be a sport. Don't be such a deadbeat. I mean, come on.
We want... eventually, if it's
be that.
Sentenced to death, it'll be a deadbeat, yeah.
Let's make it interesting. Or how about this? In some of the countries, like Vietnam, we will give the location where we're going to put him out. And then drop some AK-47s in that area. Anyone can prove...
Too fast and furious for my blood.
That's true.
Right, that's been done in Mexico.
That's true.
It didn't work out so well. What? Too soon?
Too soon?
Too soon?
Too soon.
Sorry.
Definitely too soon.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a good... You know, one of the things that we do on the show is solve problems.
We do.
I don't think we get enough credit for what we do.
We get credit for what we do.
Death threats and credit aren't always the same thing. We try to come to a reasonable end to problems, and we try to do it in a way that is better for society. Now, the left is all about progress. We hear that all the time from the left. Got to move forward. Let's move on and step forward and onward and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
This is an opportunity to do so. And, well, that was just hateful. Just reading through the chat. I think this is a wonderful way to eliminate and deter violence in this country. We always hear about if we can save one life.
Uh-huh.
Well, what if by killing the donger,
right,
through a legal process,
uh-huh,
it keeps somebody else from committing that crime that could cut them the death penalty?
Yeah, look, if you...
That's saving a life!
Look, if you sever the dong from society... What? Too Jewish? I don't know. What? I mean...
I get it. We'll kill the firstborn male child in every family. Too Jewish.
We're up against a break. I love how we can turn the escape of a Hannibal Lecter type guy into just pure jackassery. I personally think it's a brilliant idea.
I think people are missing it. We are up against a break.
When we come back, Sean's going to talk about a wonderful article,
yes,
that he read somewhere, and also talk about Donald Trump. All this and more. When we come back from the break. Sackheads Radio, SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and you.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid program.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaver of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com, you will catch the Reaver of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on SHRmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Oh, man. So,
what?
Donald Trump. And, you know what's funny is 6-7 months ago when this really first started winding up, if you told me Donald Trump would still be hanging around, I don't know if I would have believed you. I don't know if I would have trusted that. I don't know if that would have been... And not for any other reason than it's Donald Trump, right? And
right.
I think a lot of people were going to kind of push him to the side right away and just kind of, like they did the last time he
Nobody
ran.
took him seriously.
Nobody took him seriously.
Right? He's the you're fired guy.
Right, and he comes out slinging just anything he wants. We saw him speak in Vegas.
Yep.
And he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't horrible. And we've gone back and forth about a lot of things when it comes to Donald Trump. And I'm still, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, I'm still not 100% behind Donald Trump. I'm certainly not ready to give him my vote, per se. And there's a lot of reasons for that have a lot more to do than just this particular election cycle. You know, I question where he's given money in the past. I've questioned a lot of different things, his allegiances in the past, some of the things that he has done in the past with eminent domain. Absolutely a reason to question him. However, it is amazing to me how the mainstream media and a lot of people are vetting Donald Trump unbelievably. I mean, they're trying to find guys that scrubbed the floor for him in 1978 to come out and say something bad about Donald Trump. And meanwhile, for 2 election cycles in a row, you weren't allowed to vet the current guy in office.
No, I wasn't. I tried several times.
Right.
And you would not allow me to do that. Actually, I think it was the federal government that wouldn't allow us to do it when they kept shutting us down.
That being said, going into the Iowa voting election incident, if you will, and I won't say the word because I said it exactly. I said
caucus.
I said it at break, and you started laughing immediately, and I reminded you what trouble that led to a couple weeks ago.
I don't think it was trouble. I think it was a brilliant piece of
Yes, it was a brilliant piece of radio, and that'll forever be in our archives, luckily for us.
Why won't you carry us on terrestrial? Except Philadelphia, where you guys are crazy anyways.
But now, and New Hampshire's not far after that, and Donald Trump's still leading the pack. And there's a great article I read, and this is actually sums up my feeling on Donald Trump quite a bit, and I'm glad Dan wrote this. A great article on SHR Media. You can get the link to High Plains Pundit but why not Donald Trump for president? And it really breaks down, as a conservative, the good and the bad of Donald Trump. Now listen, one of the things that I like about Donald Trump is there's nobody buying him. He doesn't need money. He's not one of these politicians who needs to appease his contributors. He doesn't have to appease anybody. And a candidate who cannot be bought is a candidate that deserves a very serious look, a real candidate. He's starting to unleash more and more about his policies, not necessarily in depth. A lot of his policies are talking points and headlines more than anything else. Hey, we're going to make Mexico pay for the wall. Well, how are you going to do it? And he says some things, but he doesn't actually explain where the money's going to come from. And then there are some things that he says that I absolutely think is great. If I'm elected president, we're going to bomb the hell out of ISIS. Great. I love that idea. So And you know Donald Trump is scaring the establishment conservatives. Very, very much so. To the point that they don't even want to mention him. Like I said, we talked about the State of the Union and the response by Haley, Governor Nikki Brainlock, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley?
Thank you.
Yeah.
She kind of threw a stab at Trump, and she's a Tea Party gal, and Trump has a pretty good rating with the Tea Party. So the establishment is scared of Donald Trump. Fox News is a little scared about Donald Trump. And now they're insulted by him because they have a debate coming up, and he's not going to take part in it. Which is very strange to me. But I think what Donald Trump is saying to a lot of people who may be center-right, because I think he has a lot of more people on the hard right than anyone's given him credit for. But I think what he's saying about the center-right people is who maybe don't like Fox News is, I don't need them. I don't need to sit up there. Right? I'm not saying...
Hang on. Somebody else did that too. Obama tried to exclude the Fox News contributor because the administration didn't like what Fox News was putting forth. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And the other news agencies, media agencies, actually came together and stood up for Fox and said, no, you can't do that. And that's why I don't like this move. Donald Trump is running for president of the United States.
Yes.
As president of the United States, your job is to represent the people at the federal level. You are there to be the executive for the federal government, right?
Right.
The Senate was supposed to represent the state interests. The House is supposed to represent the people, and those three coming together. We know it's not like that anymore. But Trump is running for president of the United States.
Yep.
So if he's going to get all boo-boo face, to use your term, and I
love that term.
I know. And get all whiny and cryy.
But I don't think that's it.
To where he can't even engage in a debate. Look, if he doesn't like somebody, or he doesn't like Megyn Kelly and the questions or the manner in which she asked a particular question, okay, then address it on stage like Newt Gingrich did back in, when was that, 2008? Or 2008 with CNN, right?
Yep.
And you come out looking so much better that way. And I think that point was made earlier tonight by Bill O'Reilly as well, who brought that up. And I agree with that. But you can't, as a candidate for president of the United States, take your ball and go home.
Well, I agree.
You're up there to answer the tough questions. And guess what? If you can't handle Megyn Kelly from Fox News, how are you going to handle Putin? How are you going to handle the UN? How are you going to handle Iran? How are you going to handle real enemies?
I don't think it has anything to do with Megyn Kelly, but I think that's his reason to kind of push back against Fox. Well, because of what happened with Fox, blah, 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 blah.
But tough. You're going for president of the United States, right?
I don't think that's the purpose of this. I think the purpose of this is to start getting to the center and slightly right people of, hey, you know what? I don't need to go on Fox News. And I think that's what the point of this is. I think it's tactical. I don't think it's necessarily anything to do with Fox News per se. I think it's to send a message. Now, let's say he doesn't do the debate.
Hang on a second. Did Ronald Reagan refuse to participate in any debates from a news organization?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think he did. And Joe in the chat room, I could be wrong on that. But he said that Trump did everything that Reagan did when he was campaigning, and that Trump isn't comparable to Obama. He's nothing like Obama. And I'm going to say in this case, he absolutely is. Obama didn't like what Fox News was doing, and so that administration tried to exclude them. He tried to have Fox News not be participatory in that process. Granted, he was president of the United States at the time. With Donald Trump crying boo-boo because he doesn't like something Fox News did is very similar, so he's trying to exclude them.
Per the Gateway Pundit, in 1980, the Republican debate that was just ahead of the 1980 Iowa caucus, according to Bloomberg, Reagan did skip it.
Okay, so then I was wrong on that. Joe, thank you. You were right on that. However, I was absolutely correct, I think, in likening him to Obama in this case, in terms of skipping out on Fox News because he doesn't like what they did. It's not only a news organization, but it's the same news organization that they're both trying to skip out on.
Right. And my question is, and one of the things that we get into with this comparison, and one of the things that I try to talk to conservatives a lot about, Jeff Dunn, Siedwidlid, writer, and I talked about it this past week. You have a lot of people that when something like this comes up, automatically turns around and say, well, Reagan didn't or Reagan did, because that is our conservative angel, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. Reagan is by far one of the greatest presidents we have ever had.
He is, and for him missing that debate, I don't agree with that either.
Right.
I was 5 years old at the time.
And I didn't have anything to say.
On it. But looking back on that, I would have had the same response. You're running for president of the United States. Your job that you're interviewing for, essentially, is to answer tough questions sometimes.
But I'm asking you this. When we make these comparisons, especially with Reagan, when we turn around and try to compare a current candidate to a past candidate, now I'm not saying it's the right or wrong answer. Is that fair to do, to compare somebody in 2015 or 2016, rather, back to somebody in 1980?
Yes, because otherwise it's the liberal argument, right? It's a living, breathing, changing thing.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, so I think it is fair. Because conservative principles don't really change.
Shouldn't really be changing.
And we typically stand for pure constitutional or true constitutional interpretation, not a living, breathing, changing thing. Therefore, what a conservative said on that issue in 1980 should be what that conservative is saying now. And guess what? It worked in the 80s.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not saying it didn't. It absolutely did. So when we talk about Trump and we talk about Reagan with all these candidates that are up there now, do you think that any of them actually have Reagan-like qualities? I don't think Trump does on how he comes across. I think some ideas maybe on how to get business back going and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you can argue that Donald Trump, when it comes to economics specifically, is a stronger candidate. I'm not saying the best candidate, because you have Carly Fiorina, you have some other people business-wise. Mm-hmm. Overall, I don't think that he's anywhere near a Reagan, but there's also nobody out there right now in the field for conservatives who overall I say, hands down, that should be the guy running. None of them have convinced me yet, and that's the problem I have. So it goes back to Donald Trump in the sense that we talk about principles, we talk about honesty, we talk about integrity, kind of the devil you know and the person they are ahead of time. You know Donald Trump is the person that he is when he gets elected. We know about his past. We know about his present. We know that he'll say whatever he wants. We know nobody's buying him per se. Are those qualities that even if you don't agree with some of his stances, that is electable?
He's electable to a point, but here's what I think about Donald Trump. And these are just my thoughts. I'm sure there are many people who will disagree with me. And Donald Trump doesn't have my vote yet. He doesn't not have my vote yet. I'm open at this point. And this is why I want to see him in the debate. But Donald Trump, I believe, is all about Donald Trump.
I won't disagree.
Trump is all about Donald Trump. Reagan, I don't think, was about Reagan. I think Reagan genuinely loved this country and wanted to make this country a better place. Mm-hmm. Trump is very good at promoting Trump. And I'm not saying he doesn't. He obviously loves New York. He talks about his love for New York. I don't know that he loves the country the same way Reagan did. I think you asked me who I think has the most Reagan qualities. And I don't know, but I think that several candidates display some Reagan-esque qualities. Carly Fiorina, when she talked about bringing back the Eighth Fleet.
Right.
huge. Huge, particularly with everything going on in the Middle East and Russia filling the void that was left by our departure here under this administration.
Right. And now you're seeing other candidates starting to throw that out, by the way. I think it was Marco Rubio a couple
We might have
weeks
said
ago.
that first here.
Well,
that's all I'm
we
saying.
definitely said that 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when we called Russia expanding its power, maybe longer now. But, it's funny. You're starting to see them starting to see what works for other candidates and regurgitate it, if you will, because now I'm hearing other candidates talk about the Eighth Fleet. So that's my biggest fear, is that we're going to get to the point with candidates where they're all going to be saying the same thing and in a different manner, and we're just going to have to elect who we think is the nicest, if you will, or the most pleasant. And the fear that I also have, and we've talked about this before, is running somebody just to be able to beat the other side and not necessarily having a true conservative in there. And that's something that scares me too. And that's something where I think we're going to end up going down that road this election cycle. Depending on who's going to get the Democratic nomination, and we can talk about Feel the Burn and Hill Dog in a second, but when you're starting to talk about the GOP's getting nervous, and they're only getting nervous because they haven't done well in presidential elections in the last 8 years, and they know they kind of need a win, and they will pretty much they're hoping the House and the Senate for at least the first 2 years of a conservative presidency. The problem is if you get somebody like a Trump in there who's not necessarily a GOP team player, will they get what they want accomplished? Now, do we necessarily want what the GOP wants accomplished? Because listen, and I've said this 4 years ago, and I'll say it now, the GOP is out of fresh ideas. And and I don't mean that compared to policies and beliefs, but they're out of fresh ideas on how to relay those to people and get people interested.
See, I think they lost their way.
I
think the GOP lost their way.
Yeah.
And they went away from their principles and more into power and placating.
Right.
Than they did
and
about
I'll
the principles.
100% agree with
Yeah.
that. So now you have a guy like Donald Trump who shows up on stage. And like it or not, he's polling very well throughout the entire country. And I know they're polls. And I'm the first one to understand polls. I'm the first one to know that there's a good chance that what he's polling now isn't going to be in even exit polls until all the votes are tallied. That may not be there. But you have him beating Hillary in just about every poll that you see. You have him beating
That's
Bernie.
not true. There was a poll I saw the other night that's covered in $1 bills, and I didn't see Trump in it.
Yeah, but he probably owned the building you're in. He beats Bernie in a lot of ways too. So, is it going to get to the point that you're going to see the GOP turn around and say, "Hey, Donald, I know we've kind of dumped on you for the last year, but now we all of a sudden want to really kind of support you." Because I could see the GOP flip-flopping just to be that person, if you will. And I know he's running with an R next to his name, so he kind of gets the GOP anyhow. But, hey, we supported Donald Trump conservatives. Look at us. And hey, look at us. We're really on the Trump train all of a sudden. Like, I think you need to watch out for that. I think you really need to watch out for that. So, it's hard for me with the whole Trump thing. Do I like some of the things that he says? Yes. Do I have any reason to believe that's what he's going to do? Not yet. And
I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. I just don't know that. I just don't know that he's the right
one. And you brought up his question about his true love for America, and that Ronald Reagan truly loved America. And
and to be clear, I'm not saying Trump doesn't love America.
No.
But there's a difference between loving America, and having a passionate, convicted love for this country,
And he
which I
could,
think
in his
Reagan
own
did.
weird Donald Trump way, have that.
He could.
On the other hand, this could be a complete narcissist run where it's just, I know I can do this, and almost like a victory thing, right? I can run for president and do it because I'm Donald
Right,
Trump.
and look, he may really be tired of all the BS. He may really just say, you know what, I'm tired of my country going down this road, and I want to do something about it. And that's just kind of his personality to not really come across speaking from the heart.
Right.
I haven't seen Donald Trump really speak from the heart like Reagan.
Right.
Reagan could give a speech to the country,
and you knew
sitting
what
in
it
the
was.
Oval Office, and you knew it came from his heart. I remember when the Challenger blew up.
Yep.
And he was
30
talking
years
about
ago.
and he was talking about I remember watching him. And he was talking about the astronauts slipping the surly bonds of Earth to touch the face of God. I remember that line, stuck with me. And you could tell that even as he's speaking it, he's emotionally invested in things that happened in this country, in the direction he wanted this country to go. And that's what I really want to see from a candidate. And I don't know that Trump has that. I haven't seen that yet. Again, I'm not saying the man doesn't have that. I haven't seen that yet.
I would agree. I would agree with you on that. Like I said, it's one of the things that I don't like about Donald Trump is I don't even think
his hair is real.
We know him.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I know him. And that's a problem I have. Like you said, he doesn't have that personal touch in his speeches. And it's very... there's just a lot strange there with me. You know, other guys, like, I feel like I know Ted Cruz enough as a person. I feel like I know Marco Rubio enough as a person.
Yeah. And I'm tired of Ted Cruz and Trump going back and forth.
Yeah, I think it does
I really
nothing.
am.
It does nothing.
It does nothing, and honestly, for me, it's both of those candidates have lost points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's very belittling. And, you know, and then you have Dr. Ben Carson hanging on. I think he's the only other person I would consider a real viable candidate that's left on that stage. You know, Chris Christie, Kasich, nothing. So those four are the big ones. And you know, and Carly Fiorina. Excuse me, Carly Fiorina. You know, so it's very, very strange to me with Donald Trump. And I get his appeal. That's one of the things that I keep trying to say. I think the things that Trump has done positive, no matter what the outcome for this election cycle, has forced a lot of conversation to be had.
Absolutely, he has.
That politicians just do not want to have right now because it's political suicide. Immigration. And it wasn't like immigration brought to the forefront by the GOP and formed in the GOP conversation the way they want to talk about it. This was outright immigration, you know, where he's like, hey, I want to put up a wall from one end of the country to the other on our southern border.
Right.
What say you? And it forced these candidates to say a lot of things.
You know, I want to switch away from immigration real quick and talk about Trump's veteran event.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Trump is doing a veterans event. However, why is he planning a veterans event on the same day as the Fox News debate? And I have to question motive in this case.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not doing a debate, which he knows he's probably going to get heat from, but I'm doing this really good veterans event. So if you talk bad about me missing the debate, you're really talking bad about me helping our poor veterans.
Yes.
It's like smoke and mirrors. It's almost, to me, it makes the veterans event seem almost disingenuous. If he's able to raise funds for it, is it a positive? Of course it is. But I think the disingenuousness of it, of having it on the same day almost as a convenient excuse to miss a debate, takes away from it.
I agree. And I don't know, planning-wise if, the other thing too, I don't know when the events were planned and whether he knew. You know, I don't know how last minute it was thrown together. Now,
but that's what he's playing up, right?
But wait a minute. If he had this event planned 4 months ago before...
But he's not saying that. What he's saying is Megyn Kelly asked the question, it was very unfair, Fox News treated me, and that's what... Now, if he said, hey, listen, I would love to do this debate, but I had this veterans event scheduled 4 months out, 5 months out, 6 months out, and there's no way I'm turning my back on the veterans, and I would love to be at the debate. If Fox News wants to move the date, I would be more than happy to attend, but I will not let the veterans down because this is what I committed to before this debate schedule came out. But that's not what he's saying.
Right.
And that, for me, that's the big difference.
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And like I said, you don't know what Donald Trump. You just don't know. That's my whole point of this entire 30 minutes is there's a lot we don't know about Donald Trump. We know TV Donald Trump. We know what he's done in business. But when it comes to the country, when it comes to loving the country the way that we feel it should be loved and led, is Donald Trump the person who's going to do it? Can he do it?
I think he can deal with China.
Uh-huh.
I do. I think he can deal with China.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he has the political moxie to deal with Russia or to deal with Iran.
Well, he would be like our Putin in a way, right?
Yeah, but he would, from a business sense,
yes.
dealing with the Chinese,
yeah.
right? I think he would economically, I think Donald Trump would do well. I really do. If the Chinese are trying to manipulate their currency, I think Donald Trump would call them on it.
Right, and
he understands
and have proof.
that.
Yep,
but
I agree.
Would Donald Trump militarily have that same moxie? And I don't think he would. Right? Donald Trump may say, "Oh, wait, you did what? Oh, you flew a bear bomber within how many miles of us? Yeah, well, just give me the big red button."
Right.
I mean, I don't know what
and
he would do.
That's what I'm afraid of.
You know?
That's really what I'm afraid of with him is being too eager and or too maverick, to steal a 2008 term, to kind of go a little batshit crazy, if you will, does scare me. And it's weird. Here's my other problem is I think I'm not making a prediction, but I feel like the Trump train won't go away. And I think that, honestly, he has enough supporters to potentially go all the way with this. There are people, and I think I was talking about it with Dan Butcher. It's almost like Ron Paul people. There are just people that once they decided they were Trump people, there is nothing you can do to change that. There's nothing you can do. But he's got more people than Ron Paul did. And it's going to be interesting to see in just 10 short months.
And here's the bottom line. I know with 30 seconds left. Here's the bottom line. If Donald Trump becomes president, we are going to have 4 years of material.
But so won't the Democrats.
Yes, but so will we.
Hey, rumors have flown around that Joe is still hinting at possibly...
We're going to get to that.
Okay, all right.
We're going to get to that.
Speaking of 4 more years of material for the Sackheads radio show, Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Toots.
So, hey, Don, I heard you didn't want to talk to this broad Megyn Kelly. No, it's cool. You have your thing with her. But, man, have you seen the legs on her? I mean, come on.
Oh, this microphone on? That good. Maybe she heard me. Hey, Megan, come on over to the White House.
Trump Biden in 16, put forth by Agador. You know what?
I would vote for that. I would absolutely vote for that. And here's how I see it going down. Trump v. Biden on the debate stage. Right? And then Trump. Hey, it's a big freaking deal. And Joe, it is a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
That's what I said, Joe. I know that's what you said, Donald. Let's go have a beer. Yeah, let's go have a beer.
Yeah.
I'll pay for the hookers.
Yeah.
Did I say hookers? I meant strippers.
Screw these people. We're going drinking. Good enough for me.
That's...
Hey, we've predicted stuff before on this show. We've predicted stuff before.
We have predicted a lot of stuff on this show that's come true. For the record.
All that marvel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're up against the break. When we come back, Hill Dog, emails, elections, Oregon, you name it, we got it right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians. You got a business. You didn't build that. A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Cap was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaper of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reaper of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Someday I'll learn.
I think we need to have. A. Do you remember when we had our Dare Joe Biden?
Yes. Oh yes.
I think we need to have listeners send in to Sacco's email Joe Biden campaign ads.
Oh yes, the best Joe Biden campaign ads.
Right.
Joe Biden. It's like rubbing the shoulders of America. And this message was approved by Joe Biden, some shit like that.
Joe Biden penetrating your ballot box.
Hey, we're going to have a Bang for Biden sit-in here. It's going to be like a giant orgy. And, it's all about peace, love, and a little nookie. There's nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Biden, and I think this message fucking rocks. Oh, moving along to Hill Dog.
Joe Biden on gay marriage. If you don't go both ways, you're missing 50% of the fun. I'm Joe Biden. I approve this message. Hey, you think the fucking gays heard that? Oh, is this still on? I still approve this message.
I don't give a shit.
Love them all.
I love everyone equally.
Gay, they're happy. Heard that from my friend Sackheads. Need to have those guys over for a beer. Friggin' hilarious.
Dude, if he gets in the office, our life goal is to try to get in and interview him. That's our life goal at that point. Sit down or have him come here. Can you imagine?
And we need to take some smoking hot.
Oh yeah, like 5.
Right. Like just in to take notes or whatever.
She's our producer. She's our note taker. It just ramp him up.
Hey, yeah, note taker, producer, whatever the hell, babe, toots, whatever the hell your name is.
Stick him in the green room with them for like 2 hours ahead of time.
Right.
Just 2 hours ahead of time. Yeah, this is our producer, Misty.
And big fat Polly in there with them.
Oh, yeah.
We'd come in.
Why is there a stripper pole in the middle of the green room all of a sudden?
Who brought Vaseline? This wasn't even put in here.
And Polly Joe, why are you two wrestling in it?
Shut up, get out. Turn the camera off. I'll turn it on, I don't care.
I'm Joe Biden and I'm a big friggin' deal. No, it's I approve this message. I do? It would be like the governor.
Like the gov from Blazing Saddles. Meeting is adjourned. It is? No, you say that. Say what? Meeting adjourned. It is?
Here, play with one of these. Hey, thanks. Give one of these to the boys. Benny, Frankie. Here you go, boys.
Joe.
Have this in lieu of other things. I can't get it in the... Thank you, Secretary. Good advice. Love that movie.
That would be Joe Biden.
Joe Biden would
As
be
president,
the gov.
he'd be the gov.
Harumph.
Harumph, harumph.
Give President Biden a harumph. You watch your ass.
Yo, hey, get over here.
Live from the Dover, Delaware Hair Transplant Center, Sackheads Radio interviews President Joe Biden. He would be his own vice president. Hey, I'm number one and I'm number two. Deal with it. Joe Biden for president 2016.
Hey, did you see the new? You see the new person we're nominating is a ni? Sorry about that. Get over here. Hey, you see this person we're nominating is a ni?
Ooh, wrong person. Get over here,
Joe.
Joe.
Hillary Clinton. So
how many emails does Bill Clinton have to leak to get rid of this broad for 5 years? You know what I'm saying?
And you know he's like, really? FBI, I give you this one on a silver platter, and even you can't figure this out? What's the matter? Like slide rules and calculators doesn't work on emails? What? Like, isn't that what you guys freaking do? It's a desk case. That's what you do. Desk cases and desk pops. I mean, that's what the FBI does.
Every day he's just to his local FBI office dropping off more.
Right.
Y'all know I can just let you in and just get it whenever you want, right?
Yeah. I didn't even create any of these.
You know, Monica Lewinsky was quoted as saying, as Hillary Clinton is just one Clinton she couldn't swallow. So that's very telling. That's very telling.
Very telling. That's unconfirmed on that report.
But very telling. What's going on with Hillary?
What's not going on with Hillary? So more emails were found on her private server. There was a January 14th letter from the Intelligence Inspector General Charles McCulloch III to lawmakers that said that several dozen additional emails, including specific intel from, quote, special access programs, which are above and beyond top secret.
Like, that's super top secret crap.
It's like if you took top secret and put a cape on it, it'd be super top secret.
Absolutely.
So some of the intel was so sensitive that lawmakers couldn't even
read it.
Read it. Yeah, they couldn't even view the intel in it. Now the FBI is actually going back and they're talking to the intel agencies themselves that originated this information, which I think is the right move. Good job, FBI. Where's next in the investigation? I think we should go to the source and talk to somebody. Can we do that? I think in this case it'd be the best investigative technique. Go for it.
We're nailing this. Finally,
we're nailing this one.
Hey, they won't be able to say anything else about us ever again.
Right. I like to see the sackheads talk trash about this. That's cute, you guys, in your suits, little ties. So, information also came out that there was human intel information, which is a big deal. If there's human intel, you're talking about operatives' lives being at stake.
Absolutely.
And somebody actually asked me, we were talking about this stuff, and they said, you know what? Wouldn't it be amazing if something came out that intel from her email server ended up being one of the proximate causes of the Benghazi attack? I thought it was interesting. Right?
Very interesting.
Something about lack of security, so they were able to go ahead and plan the event. Something.
Yep, they see them asking for help and Hillary not helping.
Or just, hey, asking for help and hey, you know what? They don't have enough people. We were able to get this off her unsecured server. I think it's a good time to attack. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that happened. I just say, wouldn't it be interesting if? It certainly wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that were the case. But human intel, look, that's a major deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I've heard people on the right saying, "Oh, this is a clear violation of law." People on the left saying, "Oh, there was no legal violation." Look, if you fail to accurately, right, if you fail to take care of intelligence information, and that's a crime, then why wouldn't we see an indictment?
Well,
out of this, if she's giving direction, which we know she did, to strip classification headings off of a document and then fax it non-secure.
Yes, just by removing the top secret head.
We
title.
know, right, because it's not the label that makes it top secret. Right? It's the information. Yeah. It's not the nutrition information that says 87% daily fat content that makes the burger bad for you.
I know it's
the item itself.
Laugh, but just the fact that was actually an accepted idea. I got to get this to Hill right away. Can you email it? No, she's on our private server thingy. Well, what do? I got an idea. Let's copy it. We'll put a piece of paper over where it says top secret, and we'll just fax it to her at the Hyatt. Like,
right. And I want to be clear, somebody's defending the FBI in the chat room. FBI stands for frickin' big idiots. I think that's unconfirmed.
Famous but incompetent.
Yeah, something like that. And yes, DOJ Loretta should indict, but the FBI, I don't really have the most faith in their investigative techniques and skills and prowess. So, we give them applause for actually doing the proper step. I think maybe they looked at a book and it said, go to the source and talk to the person.
Think Whitey Bulger.
Was that that one star on that one website that you like to go to, like allaroundthebarnyard.net?
No, the gangster.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I was thinking something
who literally was
different.
paid off the FBI agents because they wanted him to think they were cool.
Right. Right.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And it's one of those things we talked at the break is, what happens if, well, first of all, you're like, one of the things you brought up is, why hasn't it happened yet? Why haven't they got an indictment or gone? And I said...
And how many agents are on this thing now?
Oh, like 200, 300?
Right. They put another, 125 towards it or so.
How many agents are on this that aren't dealing with international or domestic terrorism issues?
How many agents are on this that are not dealing with background checks for gun owners?
Oh, so you're trying to appeal to the left right now?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Was that out loud? What are you eating over there?
Gummy bears.
Seriously? How about you throw some this way? Thank you.
No problem.
So, we talked about this a little bit. We talk about this a lot all the time. First of all, is Biden going to get in? Because if she's not indicted, in my opinion, this is it obviously political. But you brought up, hey, what about a Dave just yelled at you? What about appointing a special prosecutor? and letting that special prosecutor go forward. But then, like you mentioned, it politicizes it. They're trying not to do that right now. Agreed, but if Loretta Lynch fails to indict, or better yet, I have an idea. This is freaking brilliant.
Here we go.
We take all the information to the Houston grand jury. They fail to indict Hillary. They instead indict Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. What? I think your heart just stopped.
You know,
it's brilliant.
There's literally nothing, no involvement whatsoever. They haven't done anything. Yeah, we got a clear conviction on Senator Ted Cruz and Vice and presidential candidate Donald Trump for the email scams.
Right. Hey, wait a second. Weren't you the people that were supposed to be looking into Planned Parenthood instead indicted?
No.
Oh, no, that's a different group.
I want to see what happened with that indictment. I know that's a different segment.
I don't know. No, we didn't have time for it. Go for it.
But dear God, how do you indict the people making the film and not Planned Parenthood representatives who are talking about selling baby parts on the market? And it's funny that they chose Texas, because I don't know the Texas laws. I know here in California.
Houston.
Right. But I don't know what the specific Texas laws are. I know in California there are laws against that. Whether or not they get a conviction.
The press traditionally has been exempt from that under First Amendment.
Yes.
Now, but are they trying to say, well, these people weren't accredited press? What's accredited press? Where in the Constitution does it say freedom of the accredited press? It doesn't, right?
That argument alone would turn around and say that we would not be considered accredited press.
It's not true. We have credentials. And we've obtained press credentials from other organizations.
I know, but what I'm saying is can they now turn around and decide what is accredited and what is not? Doesn't matter where you have it through. They will target your organization specifically. Well, you're conservative, so you can't be pressed because you're not even keeled. Right.
You're not tolerant.
Right. Oh, I don't. You're not tolerant at all of other people's beliefs.
You're not tolerant.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very tolerant.
It's almost like a weird attack on the First Amendment, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
So they got indicted for First Amendment activity as a news organization. Think about the precedents.
But they're not accredited press, right?
Depends on who you talk to. And you think about the precedents there for just a brief second that it's setting. Does that mean you now have to be one of the big-name news organizations in order to conduct investigations?
Like SHR?
Like SHR and High Plains Pundit and others? Or is it pick and choose? And it's a real scary issue. The Planned Parenthood incident alone is a very frightening issue. But the fact that this grand jury indicted, and we can talk about also the watchdog laws, protecting people. We can talk about a lot of things, or the whistleblowers, rather, that somehow got skipped through with this Planned Parenthood thing in Houston. But there's an indictment on the filmmakers, not the people who were planning to sell dead baby parts across state lines and transport dead bodies without being a licensed mortician and or medical examiner, et cetera, et cetera. And that scares me too. You know, I had an argument not too long ago with the liberal who says, well, you know, the Supreme Court has decided a few times that our constitutional rights can be limited in certain situations. And I said, well, let me ask you this. I don't care what the Supreme Court says. Do you believe that that's right? Do you believe that unless you are hurting somebody else, and your rights only go as far as to infringe upon somebody else, do you think that your rights have the right to be curtailed on some level, i.e. chipped away in specific situations. And they agreed that they should, and that scares the hell out of me. You know, we talk about freedom of religion, freedom of press, all this other stuff. Even on religions that we don't necessarily like or agree with. It's very frightening once you start talking about limiting freedom of speech by quote-unquote conservative news outlets or any outlet.
Look, we've talked about this before. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say these rights can be limited by the courts. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until 1803, Marbury v. Madison, where the court gave themselves the authority for judicial review of constitutional principles under Article 3 of the Constitution, right? So, up until that point, from when the Constitution was ratified, up until 1803, when the Supreme Court ruled in the Marbury v. Madison case, and then gave themselves the authority for judicial review,
which is bizarre,
citing Article 3, it didn't exist. And so now the court gets to be the final arbiter of whether these rights can be limited or not, and it's the court, through this judicial review, that has limited our rights by allowing certain incursions to stand.
That limits our balance of power.
Of course. I mean, what's the most powerful branch of government? They're not three equal. Right. I would say it's the judicial branch.
Judicial
right?
can essentially turn things into law.
Absolutely.
As we saw with Obamacare.
And create law.
As we saw with Obamacare.
Well, they didn't create law with Obamacare, but yeah, they upheld something that should have been unconstitutional.
Right.
Right? And we've seen judicial activism. We've seen, look at the Ninth Circuit out here in California, the Ninth Circus. That shit crazy as they are. So, you were going somewhere with this.
No. Go ahead.
No, you were...
It's your segment.
It is, but you were going down a road, and I just wanted to throw out the Marbury v. Madison thing in terms of limiting rights. Look, nowhere in there does it say you can limit rights. So why is it I can limit the First Amendment or I can limit the Second Amendment, but I can't limit the Fifth Amendment?
Right.
Hey, you can only remain silent if it's going to help our case for you to do so. You can only limit the Sixth Amendment when we don't really want you to have an attorney, right?
You can only board soldiers.
We're going to limit the 10th Amendment. The states have the right to but we're going to limit that one. We're going to limit housing soldiers, like you were about to say.
Yeah, no,
we can't house soldiers.
We're rebuilding the base barracks,
right?
And we just got to put them up here for a couple months,
right?
Just for a couple months,
right? So we're going to do that. We're going to limit your right against that.
We're going to invade your curtilage.
Ooh, you know what? You have the right to vote, but we're going to limit that because we feel
only
that,
if you're an illegal Mexican.
Because we feel that your vote is going to hurt the country.
Yeah.
Because you're going to vote for the whatever candidate.
Donald Trump.
You're going to vote for the conservative candidate. Yeah. And obviously that's not inclusive of everybody else because he's so hateful and divisive. So much so that even the Brits are debating about whether he should be allowed in the country right now.
Right.
So because you want to vote for such a divisive person and that's bad for our country, we're going to limit your right to vote because we can limit rights. I mean, that's the slippery slope, folks, of once we start allowing judicial review and courts and the government to limit rights. If you subscribe to natural law, which is what the foundation of our country is based on, rights come from God, not government. And if rights come from God, they cannot be limited by government.
Right.
That's the First Amendment. That's the Second Amendment, all the way down the line. All the way down the line.
Once you give them one, they get them all.
Right.
Once
and look,
you give them one.
You may not like what's being said. It's like this school, these school kids that wore the shirts that ended up spelling that racial slur. Look, it's despicable. Okay, Kids that wear shirts that spell out a racial slur should be punished. That's the parent's job.
Right.
That's not government's job.
And I can
do I support somebody's right to say that?
Right.
I do. I think it's disgusting. I think that it's despicable. I think that it has no place. In serious discussion, or it has no place here on our show or out there. But if somebody decides to say that, that's their choice. That's their right. Because if I can shut down that speech that I don't like, then why can my speech not be shut down that somebody else doesn't like?
Well, and it's one of those things, you bring up the school, and I think it's a very interesting place to have that discussion. In a place that's supposed to teach you about your rights, it's supposed to teach you about your Constitution, it's supposed to teach you about your history. Now, I will admit that your rights only go as too far until they infringe upon somebody else's.
Right. But that's within Orthodox, right? So if your First Amendment right is now infringing with my First Amendment right, which is how we get the whole permit process for protesting at like capitals or whatever, right? Hey, yeah, you can permit here. You need a permit, but not because you have to have a permit to come here, but because we want to ensure that you have this space so that another group doesn't come and interfere with your rights that you already decided to exercise.
That'll never happen.
Right? So I understand that, but again, that's a permitting process, not to say no.
It's to keep it safe.
It's to keep it safe and to, in fact, allow you to do so without interference from somebody else.
Well, and so I can understand if a child goes to the principal and goes, hey, you know what? Those shirts offend me because of X, Y, and Z, and I believe that I have the right to not have that offensive language in my face. Now, caveat. There better not be a shirt in that school that has anything slightly offensive if you are going to, in fact, have these children removed and or discipline them. And I mean, there better be a nothing shirt in there.
But this wasn't even at school.
Right.
This was completely off school hours on a social media post, completely unrelated to the school.
And that's a totally different animal.
Completely different animal.
Right. I don't think the school should be able to punish you.
Absolutely not.
Now, if you're a private school or whatever, that's totally different. Right?
Private.
Because you have the right to do it. If you're a public school, I don't think, and
I would go ballistic as a parent. If my kids did something,
yes.
I'd say, listen, that's my child. Yes, I find it despicable. Yes, I find it disgusting. I'm
going to deal with it.
I am absolutely handling that as a parent. However,
but what does this teach them, Clint?
This has nothing to do with the school.
What does this teach them? This teaches your kids that government can control you no matter what.
Right.
No matter where you are or what you're doing, government can come in and control your mannerisms, your emotions, your actions.
What you think, what you feel.
Right. And they don't necessarily have to be part of the hierarchy. You don't have to be in a school. You don't have to be in a public place, whatever. We are going to control you from afar. We see something we don't like at social media,
yeah.
You can have a conversation.
Hey, listen, you have to be tolerant. Your shirt is not tolerant. So let me get this straight. You're preaching tolerance, yet you're not tolerating my shirt. Does anybody else not see the irony in this?
Well, it also makes this also makes that school, if you will, an agent of government. Because they are now...
They are an agent of government.
But on a law enforcement standpoint, you're now issuing a punishment for something that happened not in your sight, that was brought to your attention, and you're administering to these children when they come to school. Right? You have a system of punishment. You have a lot of other things. And I say this I've said this before and I'll say it again. When it comes to school and punishment, if you want to act like a court system and or hand out punishment, I always bring up the two kids fighting, everyone gets suspended. I know we're running over. And I said, okay, I can understand if both kids are equally at fault. But if one kid attacks the other and the other kid fights back and wins, he shouldn't be punished. And they say, oh, well, we have a no fighting policy. Well, if you're going to institute punishment like a judicial system,
Right.
then you need to have a court process within your public school that I am paying for. I want a hearing. I want to be able to defend my child as their attorney at that hearing.
Right.
The other parent can do the same thing. I want evidence, and I want it to be a nonpartisan, non-school official who's making the decision.
Right.
Hire an arbitrator for the school system. Something.
Yeah.
Arbitrator.
Look, yeah, let's grow it.
Yeah,
right?
If you're going to make it what it is, then those kids have due process, in my opinion.
And they should. And here's the other thing. Look, so you're telling me that my kid can't defend himself, herself, whatever? So
Right to self-defense destroyed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you telling me that my children have no right, which is recognized by the United States Supreme Court?
Yes, it is.
For self-defense, that they
Yes,
cannot
it is.
defend themselves?
Yep.
Are we trying to raise a generation of victims? Are we? What is my child supposed to do? Get injured? Get hurt?
And just
I will absolutely defend my child. I will take my child home and say, hey, the school may punish you. The school is wrong in this. You defended yourself. Good job.
It's very, very sad.
There's a rule in my house, okay? If my kids will always get in trouble for starting a fight. Always.
Never get in
Every
trouble for
single
ending
time. They will never get in trouble for ending it.
Yep. As long as they end it for the right reasons.
And if you're and this is this is what I practice at my house. My kids are old enough to fight each other, and they do. I have boys, okay? I have girls. I have I have a lot of kids. No, I'm kidding. But I'm kidding. Look, if they fight, I don't care if the one that started it got his ass kicked. That's the one that gets in trouble.
Yeah.
You just got your ass kicked twice.
And
right?
rightfully so.
And rightfully so.
You cause this problem, you deal with the fallout.
Exactly.
Personal responsibility. We're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in Oregon, the axis of assholes, and more right here on the Sack Kids Radio Show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reefer of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com, you will catch the Reefer of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on SHRmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking around with us this evening. And thank you to our friend Dan Butcher, who has work to do, and if he doesn't get out of here and do it, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Anyhow, dollars to donuts. I get a text message, or he pops into the chat room the next 2 minutes. Oh man! So we have Oregon, the Oregon government. You know, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Everything that's going on with Oregon and the ranchers on the government facility.
So Oregonians? Oregonians?
Oregonians?
Or not gonna be there anymore.
Not gonna be there anymore. So Ammon Bundy was arrested in a traffic stop just north of the property. As we all know, Ammon Bundy kind of hijacked the movement that was originally just supposed to be like a positive pundit to try protest, if you will, to try to get awareness to what was going on, and we talked about that before. As a result, there was an actual shootout, and one person had died. Ammon Bundy's in custody. He's in jail.
Is anybody else kind of suspicious about kind of how that whole thing went down? Hey, we got the leaders away from the group.
Yeah.
Let's stop him. He's coming right for us.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, of course, the question will be who shot first. The question will be, was it a legitimate threat? I wasn't there.
I don't know.
We know.
I'm just saying it sounds...
It's just weird.
It's weird.
It's a little weird. What was... And this person thinks so, too.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little strange. And I'm like I said, I'm not defending them. When we had the interview a couple weeks ago and we talked about it, on the air. I didn't. I have no problem with a peaceful protest. I have no problem, especially in this instance where the government, in my opinion, was clearly out of line. I had no problem with them protesting on a federal land. But you have to be careful, because whether you agree or disagree, there are actually federal laws in place for trespassing, all this other stuff. Now,
and look, here's the thing, and again, I don't know what went on the stop, and I hate to speculate. I do, and so I'm going to just throw that out there right now. I have no idea what happened on the stop. I don't know. Typically, we give our law enforcement the benefit of the doubt because we know that the overwhelming majority of them are professional. They know how to do their jobs. This was a traffic stop.
But the FBI was there.
But the FBI was involved, and we know how that goes. However, was this a case potentially? Look, if there were guns in the car, and the officers, the FBI, the agents, whatever, perceived that they were going towards that weapon, or if there were weapons there in plain view, they see them, they know they're there, and
they knew them to be armed.
They knew them to be, and now they're non-compliant. Well, guess what? If you're armed and law enforcement stops you and you're an asshole, that's a good way to get yourself shot.
Yeah.
Because if you're an asshole and you have a gun and you're not following instructions, it's not a far stretch for that officer to think that you're going to do bad things and then to be in reasonable fear.
Yeah. And
so even if the protester didn't shoot first, doesn't mean it's not a justified shoot.
Well, no, I was using a little hyperbole.
No, I know you weren't. I'm just throwing that out for our folks out there, and I may get some hate from that coming back. But look, that's the bottom line. Somebody doesn't have to shoot first for law enforcement to be in reasonable fear, and to fire in self-defense.
Right. No, and I agree. I want to know what I want to see a lot more evidence as to what came out, because this is very strange. This is very, very strange.
It is strange, and again, we don't know.
We don't know, but the FBI being on scene, I immediately become suspicious. Listen,
right? Absolutely. If this were a sheriff's deputy that made the stop, if this were a state trooper that made the stop, if this was a constable, whatever, hey, different story. There'd probably be dash cam videos, right? But this is the FBI that makes the stop. And this is a standoff, and these people have kind of thumbed their nose at the whole federal government.
Right.
And we know how things have turned out for them before with certain things.
Well, and right, I bring up the investigation of the Boston Marathon bombers, or one of the people they were investigating in Florida, ironically got shot and killed by an FBI agent when nobody else was in the room. There is a reason with the FBI, and I've talked about this before, where you have to question them.
You should, because they're government anyways.
Right, but
it's
you know what I
okay
mean,
to question law enforcement, right? But I still have to kind of just look. I have an open mind on this. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I can see so many scenarios where the shoot would be justified.
Well,
I really can.
Exactly. And even if it's a misunderstanding,
doesn't mean that
even
they
if
acted
the guy was
inappropriately.
even if the guy was trying to show them the weapon and say, "I'm putting this to the ground."
Yeah, but that's a good shoot, right?
But that's what I mean is, even a misunderstanding could lead to this. And listen, as you don't even have to be a cop. If you've ever had any firearms training or self-defense training with a weapon whatsoever, there are certain things that you look for. And there are certain things that you perceive as a threat, and then you are justified, even as a private citizen, to shoot another private citizen as long as it's justified.
And look, we understand that in this case, this individual is supported by the conservative folks. And there's articles out there, and there's one post in the chat room, hey, it's a murder of this individual by federal agents. And look, I'm going to caution against that, because it's like when Black Lives Matter say it's a murder of a black youth at the hands of law enforcement.
Yep.
And guess what? It turned out to be legitimate. This may be the case here. I'm not prepared to call it a murder on either side. And just like we say, if there is a youth or somebody killed by law enfortement, it was not justified, or it was a straight up execution, hey, that officer needs to go down. And the same is absolutely true here.
Right.
Hey, if this is a case where particularly the federal government, overreached, well then guess what? That needs to be addressed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
If this was a local sheriff, I would be much more likely to believe the local sheriff's account. Specifically, the fact that the feds are playing a role into this. Listen, we saw what the feds did, and I know it was BLM law enforcement, but it's still the feds at the Ammon Bundy Ranch, or the Bundy Ranch. Free speech zones. They came out with snipers and all this other stuff. I understand it, and it needs to be looked into. And this is something where if I'm the governor, I immediately appoint an independent.
It's the Oregon governor.
Yeah,
it's not the Texas governor. They're not going to appoint independent anything.
I immediately appoint. I don't care who it is, an independent investigator, third party, not involved, whatever.
The sheriff.
Yeah, local. I'll even take local sheriff.
Local sheriff.
I think that's independent.
Yep.
So this needs to be looked into more.
Not by the FBI.
And I know there are some people who are saying the FBI wouldn't be with the State Patrol. I saw that in the chat room. If they're working this long term, and this is a whole, they're kind of working the same.
And I think they were just saying they don't play State Patrol, and they don't.
They don't.
How often
that doesn't mean they
weren't
in
the car. Was this
them.
Traffic stop on federal property?
No, I think it was on the state highway.
So, does the federal government have authority to make traffic stops on?
No, but what I read said it was the
highways?
Oregon State Patrol that initiated the stop.
Oh, okay.
Now, early information. That doesn't mean that the FBI weren't riding behind them. And once the stop was made, all of a sudden, now they want to serve their federal arrest trespass warrant.
Right, so they run right by everybody doing the high-risk stop, charge the car, and shoot. Hey, in which case, Look, courts have ruled, right? Like, if these guys rush into a situation,
if they cause the escalation,
yeah. Look, doesn't make it. Yeah, I don't know. This will be interesting to. This will be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, and it's our job to stay and watch over this. It's everybody's job, really, because when it comes to the federal government, we've seen shenanigans before.
Name one.
Ruby Ridge.
Now, that's one. Name another one.
Branch Davidians.
Listen, you're just
now
crazy.
I'm just cherry picking.
Yeah, now you're just cherry picking situations here.
No, there's definitely reason to look at this with scrutiny, a lot of scrutiny, and it's really, it does sound convenient, and that's what I'm saying.
Where's the president on this? This is an outrage.
If I had a son that was a rancher, it looked just like this guy.
Right.
Let's see. By witness accounts, it was a setup. There's a report that there was 40 federal agent snipers that were at this traffic stop. No. The federal government...
First of all, if they had 40 snipers there and you saw them, that's a problem. They were guys with long guns.
40 of the worst snipers ever.
Right.
I mean, what was it, like a bad cartoon where they were just like holding a street sign in front of them? Like
Acme Sniper Kit.
Which from the feds? Oh,
I can see that. Right? I can see that, right?
Hey, don't you think you should put some sort of leaves or anything? Like, no, I'm good.
Even if there was one sniper there and somebody saw, so 40 FBI and snipers. If you saw any snipers there, that's a problem. You shouldn't see any. You shouldn't see any of them if they were really deployed in that capacity. Either that or they're horrible. Although, if they're FBI snipers,
they might be there.
They might be there. You might see them.
Well, they have the orange tips on the end of their guns.
Right. Why is that guy wearing chartreuse camouflage?
Chartreuse. Dude, what are you doing? I'm a sniper. Why do you have a calculator out? It has a scope on it. Doy. You're in a 3-piece suit.
That's an iPad game.
That's an iPad game. So we will watch and pay attention and follow up this story. Oh, man. Access?
Big sniper patch. Flashing signs.
They have like the bright yellow traffic vest. Caution, snipers ahead.
Is that your sniper rifle? Yeah. Looks like a super soaker. Shut up.
Shut up. You look like a super soaker. That doesn't make any sense. I'm a federal agent.
Your mom gets super soakered. Or is it my mom? I don't even know.
I don't even know, but that was an insult to you and not me because I'm in the FBI.
Right.
Oh, man.
I love making fun of them.
I know. It's just so fun. I don't know why.
It is. If we ever got indicted, you know they're going to play these clips over and over again as motivation.
Oh, dude.
Right? Almost like Eye of the Tiger.
Dude.
Before any investigation, they just replay these clips. All right, guys, time to get psyched for today's investigation.
Bum, bum, bum. They'll cut our voice in. Bum, bum, bum. Your
I'm
mom's
the
a
FBI.
sniper.
I'm really cool.
Bum, 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 bum.
They're doing thumb pull-ups on the edge of the desk to get ready for writing.
Thumb pull-ups. Joe's the agent, going to work. Gonna indict him some sackheads.
So you have a segment. Stop. You need to get to the other part of this. Oh, we need to talk. I'm done.
Axis
with this.
of assholes.
Axis of assholes update. So Iran sanctions were lifted. We got 10 minutes left. Now Iran, who I'm sure they're fine. They're stop. Would you stop? Chew gummy bears or something. It is estimated that they're going to make $700 billion. $700 billion
with interest.
No, just $700 billion, just in their deposits of minerals like iron ore, zinc, lead, copper.
Oh.
Look, I have some lead we can deposit over there.
I have a ton of lead.
Right? $700 billion. This could make them one of the richest countries in the world. And this is not including their oil reserves. Iran has more than 3,000 mines. Most of them are privately owned. However, does anybody see a problem with letting Iran have this much money, one of the main sponsor of terrorism? So much so that Israel is like, screw you, U.S. I'm going to get together with like Jordan and Saudi Arabia now because you're screwing us over.
You guys suck so bad.
Right.
Honestly, if the Nazis were still in charge in Germany right now, Israel may consider hanging out with them versus us. It's gotten to that point where they're like, I know what they did 60 years ago.
Yeah, hey, Germany, so we know you don't like Iran either. Listen, hear us out on this.
It's getting to that point. I hate to joke, but it's really pathetic.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
So that's all I wanted to touch on, the axis of assholes, but you have the other axis.
Hello! Oh, we test fire a missile? It go
Boyington.
fast. Hello, Boyington. Our good friend Kim Jong
Little Kim.
Kim Jong-il, a.k.a. Little Kim. There's a story that within the next week, the North Koreans may be test firing a long-range missile. Now, to North Korea, that might mean it goes 75 feet. Their version of long-range missile and ours might be entirely different.
A little bit different.
Right. Ours
goes all the way from North to South Korea. You launched it 5 feet over the wall.
ICBM, Inter-County Ballistic Missile.
Inter-country big missile.
Big missile. So Kim Jong-un's hoping to be able to sit home, watch that.
I can't boom missile. ICBM.
Eat some fried rice and sit and watch the missile probably implode on the launching pad, which would just be. I just think of it like a bad mafia cartoon or a bad mafia movie where like something bad's really supposed to happen to that one person, but the bomb doesn't go off, and just the look that the leader gives to the guy who set the bomb, and you know he's going to die later. I just picture that's what's going to happen. I just picture like the rocket's going to implode, and then the poor guy whose whole life has been trying to build this rocket so he doesn't get his testicles cut off by the government and left in a concentration camp, and all he wanted to do was be a botanist. But because they're in a communist country, he was forced to become a nuclear scientist. To see this implode and just that look on his face.
And he's got like two crossed eyes.
Oh, yeah. Just. But his nickname's Eagle Eye.
Right. And a book, Common Core Math for Dummies.
In other words, Common Core Math for Common Core Math
right.
students.
Exactly.
I just picture him walking into the control room. Hello, we gonna bro something up? Make big missile go boom. I don't even know why they'd speak broken English. It's the weirdest thing, but you know the North Koreans do strange things over there. So that's supposed to happen later this week. Is there anything we missed? How did we get through everything?
What if North Korea launched the missile and the guidance system failed and it went to China? Or Russia?
I just think more like Wile E. Coyote. It literally takes off and just goes right towards the control center. Like
the rope attaching it is connected around Little Kim's ankle. Takes him for a ride.
Oh, first class. It's like the end of Dr. Strangelove, right? He'd be riding the missile. His weird poofy hair just flopping in the wind, his brown. Dude,
they have a letter from Warner Brothers in an Acme box.
I gotta give Little Kim credit, though. That guy is trying to bring the speed suit back hard. I mean, hard.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
The Italian speed suit, like, he is trying so hard to make that happen. And he's not giving up.
No,
Like,
he doesn't have to.
Right, but
he's
it's
the
not
dear
like,
leader.
It's not like, oh, this hasn't stuck or anything like that. Like, he's in a speed suit all the time.
Oh, yeah, he's owning it.
And now, it kind of makes me think that speed suits need to come back in this country.
Are you proposing that we wear speed suits?
I am proposing that at some point, we're hinting with the idea of May maybe going on a work trip for SHR Media for an event abroad.
Abroad?
Away.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something different. So I propose that on the trip we wear speed suits with certain patches on the back. More on that later.
But I want the Italian loafer with like the 2-inch heel or the 3-inch heel, the zip-up sides.
Right.
Like full 70s. Go
Right.
full 70s. I have the chest hair to pull this
Full
off.
like Lee Majors.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah, like, just think Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
Like, just...
You know who could pull that off is T.
Oh, T absolutely could. He doesn't have the chest hair like I do, though.
No, he doesn't. But he could wear some plum smugglers.
Just go like the Mr. T starter kit around the chest, like all those different things. I think it's a great idea.
I think so too. I got your new Halloween costume. Ron Jeremy. Just all the hair.
The original Ron Jeremy, though, in the 70s.
Right. No, even now.
The Hedgehog. Dude, I'm flipping through TV a couple months ago, right? And it's like 3 a.m. and I'm stuck awake. So, infomercials. So he's doing an infomercial, and it's Ron Jeremy doing an infomercial for Extends. Right? But instead of him being like Ron Jeremy doing it, which would sell a lot more, he's almost like they wrote him a role, almost like he's a medical professional. So, like, he's trying to explain how it works. And I thought to myself, some poor kid's going to turn this on and not know who Ron Jeremy is.
Alien civilization.
Yes. And just think that, hey, this doctor's telling me this medicine's great for me.
Right.
And meanwhile, it's Ron Jeremy.
And he may not discover that for a few years.
Oh, man. Oh, just good times. Good times.
How do we go from all the stuff we talked about to Ron Jeremy? And without using the word caucus.
Without using the word caucus.
We did say backdong a lot.
We did. We had a lot of backdong tonight. There was really a lot of backdong in this show. I think we were kids. We used to call it a fruit bowl. Now, we will be back next Wednesday right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. Make sure you check out all the great shows. Go to High Plains Pundit, hppundit.com, great website. Dan Butcher put it together. Check out our website. Please sign up for the email sign up. It would be awesome if you could do that for us, please. Sign your friends up. Like if you're just bored, homesick, or
sign
something
up
like
people
that.
you hate. Sign up liberals.
Sign up
you
a
hate.
ton of liberals. If you could sign up liberals, I would be forever grateful. And tell us how many next Wednesday night. Tell us how many liberals you signed up when you get into the chat room. I would be grateful. SHRmedia.com will bring you to the new website. That's it for us. We will talk to you next week live from the Sackhead Studio. Sackhead Clint, Sackhead Sean, have a great night.
Good night.
Hey, boys, look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at? We ain't found shit.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work there too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hark, 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 dude. Hark, 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 dude.
Radio.
Hark, 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 dude. Hark, 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 dude.
Radio.
Sack. 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 Sack.
The best late-night conservative conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.